Hey everybody, welcome to Life is Beautiful. I'm Anthony. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the Saaz hop, or you could call it the Zatecky Chmel. So some time ago, I did an overview of the Saaz hop where we talked about its origin, we talked about its utilization, its place in history amongst the noble hop family and the greater world of brewing as an entity. During that overview, I did mention how it was the subject of a centuries-long debate where people have been arguing over what the proper name of the Saaz hop is. And today I want to talk about that debate. So let's start with the birthplace of the Saaz hop. So most people who are aware of it, who are familiar with it, would know that it was in the Czech Republic, in Czechia. However, that is true in the modern era, but that was not always the case. In fact, there was a point in time where that entire region actually was under German control in a place called
Sudetenland.
Zatecky, I can't do this. Saaz was first mentioned by historians in the year 1004, when the German military overthrew the Polish reign of the region, where it stayed in German control for the next several hundred years. If you are a history buff, you know how important this area was to the Germans. And at that point in time, at the beginning of the second millennia, there was predominantly German-speaking people. The population primarily spoke German in the area that Saaz is from. So to the Germans, it was the Germans who first cultivated the Saaz hops. It was the Germans, the Germanic people, who created that fourth noble hop. In fact, the name Saaz actually comes from the Germanic pronunciation of the Czech Zatecky. But following World War I, Sudetenland was taken away from the Germans and given to the newly founded Czechoslovakia, making all the cultivation and export of Saaz hop a Czechoslovakian export. And along with that transfer and ownership, so too did the claim to fame, the heritage. It was now Czechoslovakian. So in the minds of modern Czechs and the Czechoslovakians at that time, Saaz, Zatecky Chmel, I'm going to butcher that this whole way through. It was a part of the Czechoslovakian, the Czech identity. Looking at New York Times article archives from 1922, we can see the Czechoslovaks' first attempt at creating legislation to remove German ownership from the Saaz hop. They began to aggressively promote and market the Saaz hop, as most of the world knew it at that time, as the Zatecky Chmel. Now, that does seem like a little thing to kind of get riled up, but that was them solidifying their identity, unifying the people within their newly constructed borders. This wasn't just a matter of naming conventions for hops. It wasn't even really about legacy or lineage. It was the creation, the foundation of their new identity. And if you know anything about the Czech Republic or any of the former Czechoslovakian regions, they're big beer drinkers. So taking identity of a premium produce, a premium product, and a significant part of their cultural identity, making it their own and shedding the old German history from it, that's huge. However, they did face a severe problem. First off, pretty much all the Germanic nations kind of rallied and riled against this legislation because they felt like they were taking away part of their identity, their history, which a few years later would become a pretty big deal. But to make matters worse, most of the hop growers, most of the hop farms that produce the Saaz hop, or the Zatecky Chmel, they were still mostly Germanic. They were ethnically German. They spoke German still. So to the people who are actually producing the hops, it was still Saaz to them. And they argued that any type of rebranding, stripping the name away from it, would significantly hurt them because the whole world knew them as Saaz. And not many people across the world where European beer exports were going knew Czech. But that did very little to actually persuade or stop the Czechoslovakian government, who continued to push on in their efforts. Still to this day, if you are to look at some of your Czech imports or exports, however you want to look at it, you will still see the large absence of Saaz as a terminology, favoring the Zatecky Chmel. kind of a bit of a mystery why the rest of the world never really adhered to the Zatecky Chmel namesake, mainly probably because it's very difficult to pronounce if you don't speak Czech. One theory is that maybe the Germanic hop farmers in Saaz were right. Maybe the rest of the world just refused to adhere to the new nomenclature because they didn't know how to pronounce it. They didn't know how to differentiate between the two. Maybe they thought it was a whole new product and they didn't want to put a whole new product onto their beers where people knew Saaz as a staple, a beacon of quality. And I kind of feel both of those theories are somewhat right because even after World War II, there was a mass exportation of Sudetenland Germans back to Germanic bordered areas, and the namesake still exists throughout the rest of the world, whereas only in Czechia do you find it under the Czech name. Even on the Czech hop growers website, the official umbrella head of all the agricultural hop markets in Czechia, they still call it Saaz, which kind of shows just how solidified, how cemented it is into the global zeitgeist. And the argument did kind of die down for quite some time until around 2007. They decided that they were going to double down. They were going to find, seek out, and eventually obtain official EU protection for the name Zatecky. Although it did come out at a slight compromise because even on the official seal, it does still have both the Czech and the German pronunciations. But that's about where the issue kind of concedes for now. This has been going on for about 100 years, back and forth. It is a part of the Czech identity, but it is also a part of German history. I could see the argument for both people making claims to it. It's a extremely interesting, socioeconomic, socio-political issue that stems across the wide world of beer. And I'm just kind of interested. What do y'all think about this? Who's on the right side? What should the name be and why? I'm interested in knowing your thoughts on the matter. So hopefully you learned a little something, if only it was that I cannot pronounce Czech words. I'm sorry, all Czech viewers. But I think it's very fascinating, very interesting. So thank you for watching. Remember, there's a story in every bottle and that life is beautiful. Cheers.